What would you do? Seriously. If you found a bag stuffed with $50,000 on the side of the road, what would you do? For most of us, it's just a fun daydream. But for one teenager, this wasn't a hypothetical. And his split-second decision set off an incredible chain of events that would change his life forever. It's a story that took him from the dusty seat of a motorcycle taxi in Liberia to the promise of a full-ride scholarship at a U.S. college. This is about more than just money. It's about a single choice and the unbelievable power of doing the right thing. To really get the weight of that $50,000, you first have to understand the world of Emmanuel Tuloe. Back in 2021, 18-year-old Emmanuel was living in Nimba County, Liberia. Life for him was a daily grind. He wasn't your typical high school kid worried about exams or prom. He'd dropped out of school in the 7th grade. Not because he didn't want to learn, but because he had to. His family needed him. So his classroom became the open road, and his ride was a motorcycle taxi he often had to borrow from a friend. His days were long, hot, and exhausting. He'd ferry passengers over rugged roads under the West African sun, all for just a handful of dollars a day. Every single fare was a small win against the poverty that shaped life for so many around him. In a country where a huge portion of the population lives on less than $2 a day, the future can feel like a far-off, blurry dream. And yeah, Emmanuel had dreams. He dreamed of going back to school, maybe becoming a doctor or a nurse, anything to have a life beyond the endless cycle of the taxi business. But those were quiet dreams, the kind you whisper only to yourself. They felt impossible, locked behind a door he didn't have the key for. The reality was brutally simple. You worked to eat, you worked to survive. A college degree was a luxury he couldn't even afford to imagine. And it was on just another one of these ordinary, grueling days that something extraordinary happened. He was on his motorcycle, the hum of the engine his constant companion, when he spotted it. A plastic bag, just lying on the side of the highway. It wasn't weird to see trash on the road, but something about this one. It looked full, and it was wrapped up tight. Curiosity, or maybe fate, made him pull over. He picked it up. It was heavy. He opened the bag and his heart probably stopped. Inside was a sight that just didn't compute. Stacks and stacks of money, a mix of neatly bundled United States dollars and Liberian dollars. He stood there, stunned. It was a fortune. In total, the bag held roughly $50,000. For a young man who fought for every single dollar, who had left school just to help his family survive, this was more than money. It was an escape. It was a new life. It was the key to every locked door he'd ever stood in front of. It was college tuition, a new house for his family, a future without the constant struggle. It was like finding a winning lottery ticket just thrown away on the roadside. As he stood there, the weight of that bag must have felt like the weight of the whole world. The traffic roaring by faded to a hum. In that one moment, it was just him, the cash, and the overwhelming, life-altering question. What now? Emmanuel took the money home. He couldn't carry this secret alone, so he told his aunt and gave her the bag for safekeeping. But the temptation was a constant, nagging voice. That money, just sitting there, was a silent promise of the life he could have in an instant. $50,000 could rewrite his entire story. No more borrowed motorcycles. No more dropping out. No more wondering where the next meal was coming from. News of the find started to spread to his friends, and their reaction was quick and unanimous. They told him he was an absolute fool for even thinking about returning it. They mocked him, called him stupid, and said that if he gave the money back, he'd die poor. In their world, a world of scarcity, you just don't turn away a miracle. Their words stung, and they planted seeds of doubt. Since my decision, Emmanuel later said, when I have a breakdown on the highway, some of my rider friends see me. They don't help. They say I acted stupid to find and return money. He was being cast out for simply considering doing the right thing. The pressure was immense. Society, his friends, his own desperate needs. Everything was screaming at him to just take it. But there was another, quieter voice, one his parents had instilled in him since he was a child. You don't take what isn't yours. His honesty was facing the ultimate test. As he was wrestling with his conscience, a voice came over the local radio. It was a woman, a local businesswoman named Musu Yancy, and she was audibly distraught. She was pleading, crying, for the return of a huge sum of money she had lost. Suddenly, the victim wasn't some faceless person anymore. She was real, and she was in pain. And in that moment, Emmanuel's choice became crystal clear. Emmanuel got in touch with the woman, Musu Yancy, and when he returned every last dollar, her relief was overwhelming. As a thank you, she gave him cash and goods valued at around $1,500. It was a huge sum for Emmanuel, and he gratefully accepted, planning to give a new mattress she gave him to his grandmother. For most people, the story would end right there. A good deed done, a small reward given. But that's not even close to the end of this story. A local journalist had been following the story, and it started to spread. First around the county, then to the capital, Monrovia. It captured the imagination of a nation that was used to hearing stories of corruption and hardship. Here was a story of pure integrity, of a young man with almost nothing who chose to do the right thing when he thought no one was watching. The story went all the way to the top, reaching the president of Liberia, George Weah. The president was so moved by Emmanuel's character that he invited the 18-year-old to meet him. President Weah didn't just praise him. He announced a reward that would change everything. The president awarded Emmanuel a full scholarship to any school in Liberia, all the way up to his master's degree. He also gave him a gift of $10,000 in cash, a brand new motorcycle for his business, and named him a national anti-corruption ambassador. In an instant, Emmanuel's life was completely transformed. His dream of getting an education wasn't a fantasy anymore. He wasn't the stupid one. He was a national hero. A story this powerful doesn't stay local for long. Thanks to news reports and the internet, the story of the honest Liberian teenager crossed the Atlantic Ocean. It ended up on the desk of Dr. Jimmy Jenkins, the president of Livingstone College in Salisbury, North Carolina. Livingstone College is a historically black college, HBCUs, that has a long relationship with Liberia. When the administration heard about Emmanuel's integrity, they saw a young man who embodied the exact principles they wanted to see in their students. This wasn't just about grades. It was about character. So, the college decided to make an unbelievable offer. They offered Emmanuel Tuloe a full-ride scholarship to attend their university in the United States, on the condition that he first completed his high school education back home in Liberia. This was the final, incredible ripple from that one choice on the side of the road. The young man who had dropped out of 7th grade now had a guaranteed, all-expenses-paid path to a university degree in America. When asked what he wanted most, his answer never changed: to finish his education. The scholarship wasn't just a reward. It was the fulfillment of his deepest dream. From the dusty roads of Nimba County to the historic campus of a U.S. college, his life was now set on a path he could never have possibly imagined. Emmanuel Tuloe's story is an incredible reminder that honesty isn't a transaction. He didn't return the money to get a reward. He returned it because he knew it was the right thing to do. Everything that came after, the gifts from the owner, the scholarship from his president, the offer from a college an ocean away, that wasn't a payment. It was the world reacting to an act of profound character. His journey shows how one decision, one moment of moral clarity, can echo in ways we can never predict. It turned out his friends were wrong. Doing the right thing, even when it's the hardest thing, isn't stupid at all. It might just be the most powerful investment you can ever make in your future. If this story inspired you, please like and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And for more true stories that restore your faith in humanity, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.